Emotional intelligence is really key to everything that you do. There are 4 basic competencies to emotional intelligence. So to sort of demystify it, I'd like to go over the first one, which is simply self-awareness. You all can probably think of people who are not self-aware and what kind of train wreck that can be sometimes. It's sort of like being a loose cannon. So if I'm not aware of my emotions and my behaviors and the causes for that, and if I'm not aware of my strengths and my weaknesses, and if I don't pay attention to how confident I am, if I'm not aware if I'm coming from wholeness or if I'm coming from a sense of fear, sometimes we're operating out of fear and we don't even realize it. Sometimes it's only when we sit down and check in that we actually realize that we're afraid. What am I good at and what's most important to me because I'm good at it? Or what do I dislike and would rather delegate to someone else or get greater support for? You really can't get to the next competency without mastering this one. We tend to rush past this because we don't like to check in with what we feel. We're afraid to come up against a tremendous amount of fear or anger or something. And one of the ways we do that is to just rush past it. Or we try to get to a solution really fast. And sometimes that's not the best way to do it. Being self-aware, it may mean that the first thing I notice is that I'm in fear. It's important that we practice curiosity and compassion. When we're really self-aware, we're asking ourselves questions like, what am I feeling and what do I want? But we need to listen to all the different voices that have to do with that. We think we feel a sense of empowerment, but in fact, we may feel like a little kid. And we'll notice that when we hear ourselves using phrases like, I have to, I ought to, I need to, I should. And those are really good indicators that help me recognize when something's out of whack. We need to listen to our language and check in with the way our bodies feel. So it is simple. It's simpler than you know to know what you're feeling and what you want. You just need to take a breath. Sometimes it's nanoseconds where a whole array of ideas are going on in your mind. But if you don't slow down, you won't access the deepest thoughts, which are your wisdom. Once I'm aware of myself, what comes next? I can manage myself. So the second emotional intelligence competency is self-management. Once I know what's going on within me, then I can think before going into reaction. I can have emotional self-control. How many of us, when we get upset, are so tempted to hit that send button on that email or text or pick up that phone or say something without thinking because we're in reaction? So when you're self-aware, you're more at choice about whether you're going to manage something in a particular way or not. You're thinking through the consequences. You're self-directed in the sense that you know you're in charge. You know you're autonomous. You're more adaptable. You're able to better move from being pessimistic to being optimistic and to move from being negatively motivated to being positively motivated. It also means that you're managing your mood. You're managing how you want to experience life. You're managing whether you live in purpose or not. Are you optimistic or do you have a bad attitude? Are you in the crabitude, someone once said? If so, you look at what am I going to do to help myself to be encouraged and to be self-motivated? What is it that's in my way that keeps me from taking action in my life where I want to take action? So now if I'm self-aware and self-managing, what might be next? The third emotional intelligence competency is social awareness. So when I'm socially aware, I have social interest. What do you think social interest means? What do you think of when you hear the word consequences? If someone says there's going to be consequences, what do you usually think of? Most people would say negative consequences that are likely to happen to me. Well, really, the best way to look at consequences is to consider what does my behavior cause? What are the effects because of my decisions and my behavior? Social interest is being aware of the effects that we have on others and being decisive about why we want to have certain types of effects. So social interest is something we want to develop in people. A lot of people have not yet been taught to develop this within themselves. So I hear, understand, and empathize. I am service-minded. I comprehend the interpersonal and what's going on. I have the awareness of the politics between me and another person or persons. The fourth emotional intelligence competency is called relationship management or social management. I'm going to be using my influence. I'm going to be using my ability to inspire. My intention is to build trust, to create harmony, to develop and encourage, facilitate, build, collaborate, those kinds of things. That's when we're really using our power from a place of true leadership. That's when you lead others and effectively transfer responsibility to them to be good leaders. So a great leader is someone who creates other leaders who don't even realize that you help them get there. To know whether you're being part of the problem or part of the solution, whether you're being collaborative, learning to read the politics, and being a positive influence in life instead of being at the mercy of life or being a victim.